Welcome to episode 18 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast, where we talk about growing, expanding, getting into, getting out of, scaling up, right sizing, you name it in junk removal. That's what we're talking about. I'm Andy Weins, your host, joined as always by my good friend, Casey Bubba Lawrence. Casey, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about a few things that you need to implement into your junk removal business if you haven't already.
I like it. I like it. Very tactical stuff. If I'm hearing you right, is that accurate?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very tactical. And obviously, if we had more time, you could go off on any of these subjects and break it down Barney style, the reasons why. But we'll touch on each one of them and we'll give some brief reasons why it's a good idea. But at the same time, this isn't, they have to understand this isn't how it has to be everywhere, but this is something that you can do in different aspects of your junk removal company.
No, I love that. I love that preface because I think we talked about an earlier episode. Like we were talking about the 10 things you can recycle. We just named them off the top of our head.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges that we've seen in the franchise world in junk removal is franchises typically have repeatable models, right? You go to Chick-fil-A, every Chick-fil-A is the same. That's the expectation. McDonald's, you name it, right? I actually just watched a video on Jersey Mike's, and that was interesting. I've never had a Jersey Mike's sub, but now I want to go get one. Anyways, in those businesses, everything's repeatable.
Yeah.
There might be some nuanceful things. Like I remember I was in California one time, and they had a Subway that we went to that was kosher, right? So like they had two parts of it because you had to keep the meat from the dairy. I already probably fucked it up, but like at the end of the day, you can get a sub sandwich, but it was just a little bit different, right? But at the end of the day, it's similar. The challenge in junk removal is not every playbook fits every market,
right?
So let's preface that right off the bat. We're going to talk about whatever half a dozen things or so in your junk removal business, and some of these things will absolutely apply to you. Some of these things you're already probably doing, and some of these things might not apply to you. But I would challenge you to investigate it before you dismiss it.
Yes.
So there's your PSA for the day. As you bring it up, one thing, actually, the first thing I thought about is I teach a monthly course online, and it all revolves around the 6 buckets of business. So I might bring that in here today, very tactically when it comes to junk removal, based on the list of 5 or 6 things that you want to talk about. So jump right in. What's the first thing you want to discuss?
Well, so the first one is going to be labor only. I honestly feel this applies to every single person out there. You have to understand the reason why I say it first. It's because it's your biggest asset with your lowest overhead. It's actually,
so real quick to describe for some people that aren't in junk removal.
Yeah.
Define what you mean by labor only jobs.
Okay, so labor only jobs. Moving something in a house for somebody because maybe they can't do it, or maybe they are old or hurt, or they can't physically do something. They just need you to be there for an hour or two, move something. Picking up trash
or
putting
loading picking up trash, loading up dumpsters.
Loading up dumpsters. I mean, pretty much anything that requires you or your people to be somewhere and you're not taking anything with you when you leave. And the reason why I think it's a great application is because there's no disposal involved, right? So at a certain point, you have to look at, well, if guy A is starting his day at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're already paying him. He's already been paid. You can go ahead and say, I'm starting the day off with this much money out. Okay. So when you have a labor only job, I can have guy A go do something for $150 an hour, and I'm paying him $15, $20 an hour. The rest of that is net because now he's not driving everywhere, going to a landfill, and then paying a landfill cost. So it's very simple, and it happens way more than you think. At the same time, don't be afraid to say yes when you get those kind of jobs. They may not be big ass price jobs, but you have to look at the profit on them, right? So I, for instance, used to charge $150 an hour for a team of 2. That was my price. That's what I stuck to, and it worked for me. Okay, people think I was overpriced. I'm like, hey, that's cool, but it works. Now, the reason why I
Well,
liked,
the,
yeah,
the
go
thing
ahead.
is, I would say, well, I'll justify your price in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Is if you are looking for temp labor to get a project done,
Mm-hmm.
you either got to pull your guys off that are making you money, right? Carpenters, for example. I think of like job site cleanup, right? You got to pull a carpenter off who's probably making $30 an hour, billable at 90. So you pull two carpenters, billable at 180 an hour. You pull them off to do something. Now you're losing their productivity. You're probably demoralizing them versus bringing somebody else in. And the flip side is, oh, I was going to get a temp guys. Temp labor, I have used it successfully.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some phenomenal people, but temp labor on the whole, they're coming in unskilled.
Yep.
They don't have tools and equipment. They might not have the right footwear. They don't have a truck. And sometimes jobs, like porter services, for example, you still need a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah.
Because you got to move the trash from the building to, the trash corral, or, especially if it's multiple buildings, like you still need equipment. This isn't like, drop a guy off with a shovel and say, hey, have a good time.
Right.
You still need some equipment, but the whole point is you're getting paid every minute you're there. You're not leaving them within your disposal. So you're minimizing your risk typically.
Correct. And the biggest thing for me is labor only jobs that if you can get them up on a consistent basis, like for instance, porter jobs, commercial property management companies need porter services. A lot of times they'll go with the landscapers. You know why? Because they're already there. So why not hire the guys that are already walking around the property? But my argument,
move it.
And my argument to them is, hey, look, here's the deal. I can do it at the best time of day, the best day you want me to be there, where they may have a schedule that coincides with their actual landscaping services. So talk to these commercial property managers about porter services. And the reason why I like them so much is because there's not just one reason. It's not just because it's labor only. Think about this. We had a porter service in one of our cities, right? At this huge strip mall. In this strip mall, you had a movie theater, some restaurants, but the coolest thing you had was you had a donut shop, you had a Starbucks, and then you had a McDonald's, all in the same area. Every morning, well, 3 times a day or 3 times a week at that place, that location, my guys were there at 7 a.m. All they would do, switch out all the trash cans, take the trash to the on-site dumpster compactor, reline the trash cans, and that was it. They were there for a maximum of 2 hours. Here's why it's more than just labor only, because I have 2 hours of marketing that I'm doing right there, because everybody's in line for Starbucks or McDonald's or seeing my truck. Just slowly pull and watch the guys. Okay. The other thing is I now have a crew in a different part of town than where I'm set up at, ready to roll. So now I can schedule around them.
You already got essentially paid.
Right.
Yeah, you already got essentially paid to make the drive.
Yeah.
To be in position for success.
Absolutely. And I get to start my day off profitable. Right. That was the key for me.
Yep.
So I had 2 guys. I charged them like $175 an hour. So it came out to like $325 or $350 for the 2-hour gig, 3 times a week. But that means for that day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I started off profitable. That's pretty cool, because normally you don't start that way.
No. Especially when you're going to the land. Especially you start your day by going to the landfill because you got shit full from the night before, right? You start you start your day, negative $200 plus an hour's worth of labor.
Yeah.
You're 300 in the hole, and it's not even 801 yet.
Well, and you think of it this way: we would schedule things. It actually helped our schedule, because we would schedule things around our contracts, like porter services, for instance. We would say, okay, for sure, we're going to have a crew in this area at 7 a.m. Well, we have a trailer that needs to go to landfill. That's actually perfect, because they're going to go to one guy can go to the freaking landfill, by the way. So I'd have one guy go to landfill. On his way back, he'd have to pass that crew, right? He'd pass, pick a guy up who's already paid for, by the way, go on to the next job. That guy would, by that time, all he's really doing is throwing shit in the compactor. He's done. Now he goes back to the office, grabs a trailer and another guy who comes at like 9 a.m. And then there you go. This goes back into payroll and how to schedule people and all this other shit. But you make it work, because now you're starting off on a positive note instead of, oh shit, we got to go to landfill first thing.
Well, I hate the nomenclature. Make it work, right? It works.
Yeah.
It is better to plan the work and adjust your schedule than not have a plan at all. You know, one of the things that I recall when we were first getting into junk removal and I was working with a lot of other franchisees, they're like, I don't want to take on a commercial contract because then what happens if I get a big job or what happens this happens? And I'm like, yeah, you know, one in the hand, two in the bush kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Right? Hire more guys, get more trucks, but God bless, commercial contracts are a beautiful thing.
Oh man, they are. And
right? Yeah, they take out resources. Yes, yeah. Can you make more money? Can you make more money in those 2 hours hauling a full trailer at 7.5? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you got the risk. You got to earn that customer every time. You got disposal. You got like, I will take like even that contract. You're saying it's $350 3 days a week. You know, you're talking $1,000.
It's $4,200 a month.
There you go. Just for showing up and emptying waste baskets.
That's and it. You write them on a contract.
Absolutely.
You write them on a contract. Yeah. This will sound even better to you, right? You put them on a contract. Guess how much that is a year? You're starting the year off at $50,000.
Yeah, $50,000
for one, and that's for one crew.
One crew, 3 days a week, 2 hours a day. Done.
Yeah.
DUN. All right. So there you go. So labor only can be everything from porter services, which is or commercial contracts, to little old lady needs furniture moved from one room to the next because she's getting her hardwood floors refinished, or you know, we get job site cleanups calls. We don't do them often, but you know, a lot of times it's rough carpentry is done. They literally need someone to go around, pick up all the scrap lumber, you know, whatever, caulk tubes from the fucking plumbers, and the electricians, because those guys just fucking leave shit anywhere. You know, 2-3 hours to sweep, you know, basically sweep up, vacuum up, the rough carpentry. You did that quite a while, made quite a bit of money doing job site cleanups. Did you guys? I mean, that was labor only for you, right?
No,
because you're filling dumpsters on the spot.
No,
you were hauling off.
We're hauling off because that was the biggest issue, right? So the area that we did most of our construction cleanups were very affluent areas. So these houses that we were building were custom homes that were, you know, 3,000 plus square feet homes, all the way up to 22,000. I mean, you saw some of those, and
monsters.
Yeah, and the reason why is because they were a cost plus home build, not a production home. And what that means is the builder goes to the client, hey, it costs this much to build the house. Here's my percentage plus my percentage. Here's your total cost. So they have a budget that is flexible for guys like me who maybe charge a little bit more. That's why I targeted cost plus builders. But I will say, even at our price point and at the negotiated price point with these builders, we found that was probably the least profitable business service because it's all disposal, right? When you're doing job site cleanup, emptying trash boxes, doing stone clean, all that other stuff, it's such a expense heavy job that you can make a little bit more than breaking even. But the balance between is this profitable and is the builder happy because are we the cheapest? It's hard because they can always find someone cheaper than me. And how do I get it to where it's okay, I can less the price, but is it still good enough for me? Right. So I did that for a few years, and in the end of it, there was probably 2 builders that I consistently stayed with because it was an as needed basis, which is usually like once a week. But sometimes it was like, hey, you know, we need you, boom, boom, boom. Also, just to touch more on that note, those kind of relationships are cool because they were actually calling me saying, hey, are you slow? Do your guys need something to do? I have a house that just needs to be swept out before the weekend. They were pretty much saying, hey, I will pay you $250 because you might be slow. Right? Because they cared about us.
That's a good way to keep your vendors happy. The other thing I just thought about too with that is when it comes to the reason I love commercial jobs is what you just said there. They don't have this hard time window.
No.
Whether it's porter services or job site cleanup, it's like, hey, can you come this time or this day or this time, this range of time of day?
Yeah.
Not like, hey, I'm gonna be home at 9:30 and I need to leave by 11. Can you get this job done?
Yeah.
Right. That's another huge advantage of commercial jobs. And again, so the margins aren't there as much, but especially with those job site cleanups, you made revenue, you kept your guys working,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't have to re-earn the customers. So the margin's not there, right? I look at everything as a risk versus reward matrix, right? Like residential junk removal, I love doing it. I like doing residential junk removal in high-end homes.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's also the highest risk thing I do, right? The likelihood of it going to shit is higher than doing an outside, trash corral cleanup.
Yeah.
Right? Trash corral cleanup at an apartment complex, they don't give a shit.
No.
It is low risk,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's probably gonna be nasty. It's probably gonna be wet.
Oh man.
There might be animal feces, right? So it's low risk, right? And the margins might be okay, but it's shit work.
Yeah.
So it's consistently figuring out where you're best served and suited, and then recognizing too. Hell, I was downstairs earlier today, and they got a phone call. Someone asking about our moving services. I'm a firm believer in do something. Do it all the way, but then if you're not going to do it, then be like, all right, now I'm done. I did it. I learned what does and does not work for our organization, and I moved out. Like you talked about porter services. I tried introducing that up here. I went to several apartment complexes, talked to them. I didn't explain to them what a porter service was.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, we don't need that. Yeah. Like our cleaning company does that, or our landscapers, or we got a guy on site that does that.
So down here, the apartment complexes call it trash valet. Okay. And
keep it classy, Dallas.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing for trash valet, for instance, is it really is its own business entirely, and the price points are so low that if you do have a high overhead, you're going to get priced out every time. That's what happened to us. Our biggest, like honestly, our next competitor was a multi-billion-dollar recycling company, and we're like, well, okay, cool, you won, but it was one of those things you gotta know when to hold them and fold them, right? But just to let you know, you're talking about the job site cleanup. It actually rolls into the next subject, which don't always use your own guys or equipment, right? So that's one thing I learned early on being in a franchise. You're so motivated to have your shit all the time used and shown. Everybody wants to see, oh, look at this trailer. But you have to understand, are you taking care of your business? Your business is not that truck and trailer, and if it's being on every job. Your business is the financials. Are your financials getting covered? Right? So what's more cost effective?
Banging jobs.
Banging jobs. Oh yeah. So job site cleanup, not all the time, we would get a dumpster out there because we're like, look, I can get a dumpster and I can load the crap out of it. And after that,
not think twice about it.
We're good. And maybe bigger, but I can also put more in at heavier points without having to make 3 trips with my trailer. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at
beating up your equipment.
Yeah. And that was the one biggest thing I'll tell you with job site cleanup. We worked with a custom home company. I pulled it up just to let you know. 6 months is when we did jobs for them, right? They used us like a motherfucker. Okay. It was insane. In 6 months, they spent $285,000 with us. We about broke even. Okay. Because it was hard on my guys. It was hard on my equipment. And we were still overpriced for them. But they still did 6 months. After the 6 months, we both had an agreement. We're like, hey, look, we want to cut ties. I'm like, cool. Raj, like, I agree. If you need us at one point, let me know. But what we just did for 6 months was definitely hard. And it sucked. And when you look at it, $285,000 in 6 months sounds great. And then you do all the math, and you're like, huh, okay, that actually was not worth it.
Nope.
But
no, that's interesting you bring that up. It's more don't get all starry-eyed when you see big price tags.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Is it what you are competent at doing?
Yeah.
But we both made those mistakes.
Well,
you see the big project.
Yeah.
And chase after it.
I think the biggest thing is you have to understand where you excel at, and for us, we looked at it like, okay, I mean, I implemented commercial construction and residential construction cleanup as more of I'm fucking slow. They have trash. Why can't I do that kind of thing in the beginning? And it's funny because like year 3, we realized, okay, we don't want to have all these custom builders as customers. Now, we're not going to say no, but I'm not going to actively go target and go get their business because it doesn't help my company as much as residential junk removal does.
Yeah, and then you get a natural attrition, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those try things. I know I said in an earlier episode, hey, commit to, if you're going to be a junk removal company, do junk removal, right? Because we made the choice to do moving, and we still get phone calls for moving.
Yeah.
But if you're swimming in residential junk removal, awesome.
Yeah.
Right? But don't wait till you're slow to see what other opportunities are out there. And I'm not saying go take on 10 contracts, but do 1 or 2 of them. See if it's worth it. See if it works in your area. Like in your case, you did it for 6 months with one guy, almost $300K in revenue, and you're like, yeah, that wasn't worth it.
No.
But you had a relationship with him where you were both comfortable enough to have that conversation.
Yeah, and right. At the same time, Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
Well, at the same time, we met a lot of relationships along the way as well, because the builders lead into other people, right? What do all builders have? Yep. They have pull company, masons. They have someone who does concrete. Now, those guys like, hey, I got a job over here, need this. They see what you're doing. Next thing you know, you're getting business from all different kind of fronts. But back to the, not always using your guys and your equipment. The reason why it's so important is because there were so many times where there would be a big job that would come up, right? And I've seen this in some of the Facebook groups. They'll be like, hey, I'm trying to price this out. How do I price this? Because that means I'm giving all my guys for this job. And what are my guys worth on a job this big? Well, I'm thinking about like, dude, you don't have to do that. Or you can have some of your guys do it with some of your equipment, but then have the rest keep doing. For instance, I got into demolition through junk removal, right? And there was a lot of big jobs that would pop up. The last thing I ever wanted to do was take my guys off of their regular jobs and put them on one.
Yep.
So I would actually either I'd get in the excavator or whatever machine, and I would do the job with one other guy, and then trucks and dumpsters that are commercial, right? I'd sub out all the trucking, all the dumpsters, or B. Go ahead.
I would say sub what you can, because it also comes down to speed of execution.
Yes. And that was the other thing.
How many days on that job site do you need to be? How many days out are you going to get paid? How many days of risk are you carrying? I don't like subbing out, and I have got burned where I've subbed out an entire job. That's not good. And I've also got burned where I subbed out the wrong parts and pieces for the job. Yeah. So my rule of thumb is if I'm going to bring in temp labor or 1099s, right? As long as greater than 25% of the labor is my guys, we're good, right? I need 25% of the people to be. I'll send one guy with 3 temps to a job site, one of our team leads with 3 guys to a job site, if it makes sense. If it's a nasty hoarding house where I don't anticipate the guys showing up a second day, I will send one of my guys and 3 temps, because I'm going to burn them out. They're going to hate it, and that's fine. Like it is what it is, and that's it. But because you don't want to burn your guys out either. Oh man! But also to your point, your point about how much do you dedicate to one job? I will never commit more than 50% of my assets onto one job on one day. That's so like high. This week we got a 14. Right? Yeah, 50%. But like this week I got a 14 trailer job I got to get done in 2 days. Yeah. And so
you have the time constraint. That's different.
Correct. Yeah. But even at that, exactly. Even at that, we have 3 days, but I want to map it for 2 and have a carryover day if shit hits the fan. But so right now we got 12, 13 guys, give or take. Right. So I'm going to send 6 guys and 3 trucks to it. And maybe I'll bring in 2 more temp laborers, have 8 guys there total. Because then in my hillbilly math says we get it done in 2 days, no questions asked. But what I won't do is send like 8 or 9 of our guys and 4 or 5 trucks, because then we can't fulfill our already obligations or our day of or day before residential work that our realtors expect from us. Yeah, I don't want them to be like, oh hey, if you don't call me by midday Wednesday, I won't be able to get to you until Monday of next week. Yeah. Like that's horseshit.
Well, and that's do you remember when we had the conversation a couple years ago? There was someone in our same franchise. He was like booked out 2-3 weeks. He's like, I am stacked.
Wade Riverist.
Wade Riverist. Yeah, great guy.
Wade Riverist. I can remember. Great guy. He's out of the world. Actually, we should have him on the podcast.
Yes,
cool dude.
Yeah, he's.
What was he? Got out of the franchise we're all part of. Air Force type. Yep. Yeah. I always remember this story. Yeah. He looked at it as a badge of honor that he was booked out 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, and now where he was,
it's a.
So to give him credit, where he was, I can't relate to, right? Boston. I can't relate to Massachusetts.
Yeah,
I don't want to. Like keep your
it was
accents up
terrible,
there. But
terrible.
the one thing I'll tell you is maybe that's how things go over there. But for us down in Texas, we were like, shit, man, at 1 week, we're losing business. People down here are like, I just need
Oh yeah,
this shit done. I don't like I want to use you, but at the same time, if you can't get it done by a certain
time is
time, like
money.
I'm just gonna get someone else. And that was
Yep,
what we realized. So you had to keep up with the demand. Then you had to say, okay, how do I
yep,
not extend myself to be booked out past a certain time? But also
yep.
rate your customers. I mean, shit, there were sometimes I'm like, I know for a fact, this lady and this guy right here, I can probably switch them if I need to because I've already kind of got that
Oh
feel
yeah,
for the job. But
oh
anyways,
yeah.
it's one of those things where we talked about that, how getting stretched out, that when you're packed, you have no room for growth. You can almost write down exactly
Nope.
how much money you are going to make for those weeks.
And that's it.
That's it.
Well, that is correct. That's your ceiling,
Yeah.
and it also doesn't allow you to take advantage of quick turn jobs. There's plenty of times I get a call from a realtor Wednesday, Thursday with a Friday close, and like, we don't care, take it all.
Yeah.
And typically those jobs, it's not like there's a gouge, but I don't have to send an estimate. I don't have to convince them. Right? They're gonna rave about me
Mm-hmm.
at the real estate office the next Tuesday when they have their meeting and say, "Oh yeah, Camel Crew took care of us."
Yeah.
Right? You have to have the capacity. I'm like, fucking sneeze. Got the drinking coffee, getting sneezies. So my rule, because I love math, right? My rule is that I love is on the Sunday before the week, I want to be 75% booked.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be booked 50% for the following week, and I want to be 25% booked for the week thereafter.
Yeah.
That's my sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm more than 75% booked on a Sunday for that week, I'm like, fuck, we don't have the capacity. Now, if I'm like less than 50% booked on Sunday, I get fucking twitchy.
Well,
right? Monday morning, I'm making phone calls
yeah.
to figure out what the hell is going on, or not really what's going on, but what I need to do to get things going,
and
right?
And
or
that's
the
when
phone's slow, or what's going on.
Yeah, and that's when you have to get into creative mode. And just to let everybody out there know, creative mode does not mean fucking Facebook only. Okay, like I'm telling you right now, you can make a Facebook post. I've seen it. Hey, anybody needs some shit hauled away? 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get a job. You might get 10%.
No.
But I'll tell you what does work. You got to think more about the future. Don't think about today and tomorrow. Remember, when you wake up, your day and the next day, pretty much the week, it's already spent in a way. You have to think about the next week.
Yep.
So I used to get like that. I used to get twitchy too. But then I would think, oh shit, okay, well, you know what? If we're slow, I'm going to start making sure that we're not slow the next week. Like I want to have a packed week.
Exactly.
If it's Wednesday and we're not like having a banging week, it's hard to make up the difference already halfway through.
You can't. It's already too late.
Yeah. So why not let's just go kill the next week. So at Wednesday, I'm going to tell you right now, at Wednesday, this is some free advice. If I'm not meeting my weekly numbers that I want to hit by Wednesday, I'm going to start making sure everybody gets their 40 or less.
Get off my clock.
That means I'm not going to pack my schedule. I'll make it comfortable, but I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, let's jam. Everybody's going to get overtime. Fuck no. Ain't nobody getting overtime. It's going to be like, yeah, you'll get your 40, but 30 minutes of it may be like washing the truck or something, but
no, you have to have a reset, right? When you have those gaps, that's a beautiful time for a rest and reset, right? Mm-hmm. Reset your trucks, clean your fucking trucks out, reset your yard if you have it.
Do an account of all your equipment. Hey, what's broken?
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Oh fuck, we took mirrors off one truck to put on another today. Because that's just the day. That's the kind of day. That's how today was. Because we've been
looking at the state laws. Okay, we only need one mirror on the left side. All right, go take all the mirrors off. Make sure one mirror.
We ordered a mirror. We ordered a mirror like a week and a half ago because it was kind of cracked. You know how a kind of cracked mirror with duct tape goes when it's fucking raining all weekend. Yeah, kind of cracked with duct tape is she gone. So we take so of course. We take the mirror off one truck to put it on another truck, gets it on the road, and like 4 hours later, we were able to find the mirror we actually needed. That we've had an order for like 2 weeks. Yeah. The actual correct mirror is still not in town, but a good enough replacement is on our other trucks now. So we're safe and we're compliant. Just mirrors don't have a match.
No.
Nowhere in the DOT does it say that your 2 mirrors have to match. They have to be
Hell no.
reflective in nature. That's what you know. That's
as long
what
as
they
they
have to
as
do.
long as they work, man.
Yeah. Hey, can you see the ship behind you? Is it closer than it appears? Sounds good. What's next on the list?
Gosh.
Let's go.
Next one's gonna be
Get this party started.
we'll lightly touch on this demolition light demo. Okay, a lot of people might get two things are gonna happen here. You're either gonna get real fucking excited about starting demo, or you're gonna be intimidated by it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, no matter how much you do demo and how good you get at it, you're always gonna get intimidated at some point in some aspect by a job.
So real quick, what do you? I want you to define for
Yeah.
our listeners and myself. What do you mean by light demo?
Okay, so light demo.
You and I have different definitions, I think.
So the key to light demo for me, at least what I've found, the ones that made me the most profit, okay, not most money, the most profit, were the demos for remodelers or builders that you don't need a machine, you don't need a big ass bobcat or excavator.
So not non-structural stuff.
Non-structural stuff. Now, if it's like a barn, if you're like, hey, there's a building that's all metal,
or a shed, yeah, correct, or a concrete on a slab that a nice gust of wind, you clean up the pile when you're done.
Yeah, like for me, I hated like two common demos that you call them demos. They're not demos, but two common jobs I hated: play sets and fences, because both of those you can't recycle them.
Yeah,
they're both straight trash, and it sucks.
And play sets. So we're doing one Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
We do about one a week this time of year.
Yeah.
The challenge with play sets is, a good play set costs you about $1,500 in a weekend to put it up.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost you about $1,000 in a half a day to take it down.
Yeah.
And that's they're built not to come down.
Yeah.
Now I can do a 12 by 12 shed and normally faster than I can do a play set.
Absolutely.
Because you cut in the walls, you implode it, and then you pick up sheets, right? Sheets that are 3 foot by 4 foot essentially, weigh about 50 pounds, 70 pounds a piece. You stack them up in your trailer and you fucking get down the road.
There you go.
Right? Versus a play set, you got everything. Also, everything's 4x4s. So even if you take a circular saw, you got to cut everything twice. If you take a recip saw, you're just sitting there vibrating all day. You're not going to disassemble. Exactly. Yeah. You're not going to sit there and try to disassemble lag bolts that are rusted in to treated lumber. Yeah, exactly. They were stripped when Daddy Daycare fucking jammed them in there 15 years ago.
Well, and so the reason why I like you go ahead.
I was saying, you guys have a lot more freestanding buildings down south than we do.
Yeah,
because you did a lot of trailers and sheds and like random fucking outbuildings.
Yeah. But
we don't have a lot of that up north.
But it's because I got a lot of questions, man. I had a lot of people asking, "Do we do this?" And I was like, "Why not?" Right? So you look at well, demolition, it requires skill. I don't care who you are to do it efficiently and to actually do it well. You need to know what the hell you're doing, especially when you go into someone's house. So down here, remodeling is huge. Building construction in general is huge down here. But when they have a remodel, the reason I like the demo is because I provide everything. That means, hey, I can knock your shit down and take it with me. Where some people, like a landscape crew, will do demo, but then they're putting your shit in a pile on the curb, right? Or they're getting a dumpster brought in. F that noise. For instance, a kitchen, a full kitchen demo. Cabinets, not the floor, but the cabinets, the sink, whatever. The island, the countertops, that'll take two guys, maybe, let's just say 2 hours, okay? I charged 1 hour of labor, and then I charged disposal. So at 2 hours, right, I'm getting one of those hours back on my price. Then I'm charging the actual disposal that I charge. So if it's, I think a kitchen's around half a trailer or less. So let's just say it's half a trailer. I mean, that's like $400 something on top.
Yeah, for argument's sake.
Of the extra hour of labor.
Yeah, 1 + 1 hour disposal.
Yeah. Now the cool thing, let's say you get into bathrooms. Bathrooms, it's less disposal, but the time's still there. Remember we talked about labor only, right? When you charge labor, it's mostly profit. So, I like.
Are you talking 2 hours to do with that kitchen? With that kitchen, you're just talking about taking cabinets out and countertops. Yes. You're not ripping walls. No. You're not opening up walls and stuff.
No.
2 hours. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Now
that makes sense. Yeah.
But here's the other thing is we started getting these jobs by the same remodelers, same project managers, whatever, because they liked how we did business. Hey, I only have to make one phone call. Casey and his guys, they'll take care of it. Well, then it got to the point where They didn't even have to explain shit, or they would just give us the address, tell the customer we're coming by. We would do our due diligence, send him the estimate. He's good to go. Also, I will say this goes a long way. If you're going to get into interior demolition for contractors, it's good to invest in paperboard rolls for flooring, right? To protect the floor.
Yeah,
and plastic
ram
wrap.
board. Yeah, we use ram board up here.
And plastic wrap.
Oh yeah, correct. So plastic wrap, ram board, carpet shield.
Yeah.
The fucking spring loaded. What do you call it? I can try and remember. Basically, so you can get the plastic wrap up to the ceiling without having to tape it off all the time.
Yeah.
Trying to think with those, just basically spring loaded stands. Yeah, the challenge. Yeah, the challenge with a lot of demo companies is they go on their fucking buck wild.
Yeah.
And without doing the job site prep, that's when you piss off the contractors.
Yeah.
Or the other thing is with us, I always tell them, hey, if you want job site prep, it's gonna be another hour on the front end of my day. But I'm going to prep the job site for all the trades.
Well, and I would actually use that,
not just for me.
And I would use that as a discount. I would say, hey, I'm not going to charge you for the first hour because all we're doing is prepping, depending on the job, right? Yeah. If it was a very complex, then obviously it's going to be like, okay, this is going to take us a couple hours to prep, then I'm going to have to charge you. But usually the first hour, I didn't charge.
Second floor bathroom.
Yeah.
If you have a bathroom, a master suite, because now you got probably 3 over flooring, right? You have to go through carpet to tile to hardwood, whatever. You got stairs, you got to put carpet shield on, or ram board, you got to or ram board or red rosin paper. It just takes time, but when you do it and you do it right, people appreciate that.
They do, and then that's
what keeps your contractors calling you.
Yeah, and especially when they're when you have these same contractors, if they're good at their job, they're going to have multiple jobs going on, and next thing you know, you're doing a couple jobs a week for the same person. And that's the goal, right? Repeat business. But yeah, so demolition in essence, let's say non-structural demolition. If you can get into it, I would suggest watching some YouTube videos. Call Andy or myself for some whatever tips. Andy did a lot of interior demo. And I'll say right now, if you don't know what you're doing, don't try it. You have to learn first because, man, you would have some people like, oh, it looks so much fun. Can I come and do it? And you're like, well, here's the deal. They need this wall taken down. On the other side of this wall, there's another wall. Inside the wall, there's wires and there's plumbing.
Yeah.
All this other bullshit. You can't just go ham on a wall because you're going to do a lot more damage than that's what's necessary, right? At the same time, what happens when you hit a wall? It falls. Shit falls. So now you're on tile that they didn't plan on replacing. Now you cracked a tile. Now you're dealing with other bullshit. So always repercussions for each action in demolition for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those commit to it. If you're going to do it, commit to it. If you're not, leave it alone.
Yeah, but
if you're going to do it, watch videos, ask people, buy the right equipment, and do it right. Also, I would always recommend doing demo for contractors before you get into it, doing it for homeowners, because contractors will tell you where your flaws are and tell you what you need to work on. And they'll be honest with you because they potentially want to use you again. Homeowners don't know, and it's not their job to know. And then you can get into a war of words, especially when you're pulling out flooring and, you're anticipating 1 or 2 layers and it's, you're doing fucking, you're doing multiplication tables to try to figure out how many floors there are underneath there.
So that's so true. I did a floor for a custom builder. They had someone with the FU money that wanted to buy this historical house and they wanted to remodel it. And I guess per code, there has to be 10 or 15% of the original property to consider it historical. So they pretty much renoed 85, 90% of this house. We came in and the floor, it was insane, man. You had the linoleum. Under that, you had hardwood. Under that, you had this like sawed brick. Okay. And then you had the subflooring. All right. So obviously you can't see that. And we got started and next thing you know, I'm making calls. Hey, look, here's what we found. That estimate just kept growing and growing and growing. But they understood because they're like, look, dude, this is a huge cost plus job. And like, we don't know. We're on the same page.
Yeah, we don't know.
But
everyone's sharing in the risk.
But if it was the owner that came to me, I'm guessing they would be like, hey, look, you said it was going to be this much. I didn't budget for more.
Yeah.
So just always be transparent with your contractors as well. don't be afraid to say you're new.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look, I'm new at this, so if it's too much for me to handle, I won't do it. But then,
it's better to ask. It's better to be safe and ask questions.
Yeah. Oh man.
Than it is to make assumptions and be put in a position where you feel the need to justify your workmanship, or I don't apologize, but apologize for choices you made that you weren't sure of. Right? That's that. A little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing.
And dude, there's still jobs today that I will pass on because I don't feel comfortable doing it. And I tell them, I'm like, hey, yep. I looked at the job, I assessed it, and honestly, I don't feel comfortable doing this job. Yeah. Are they going to be happy? Yep. Probably not. But you know what? I'd rather them not be happy than me lose a bunch of money or get hurt.
Correct. Have them be happy when there's no correct. Yeah. Have them be happy when there's no money involved or people getting hurt.
Yeah.
Versus you're unhappy, people are broke, and someone got hurt.
Yeah.
Or something got hurt. Cool. All right, what's next on our list?
The next one. Now this is pretty cool because there's two more left and they kind of coincide with each other: recycling and resale. I'm going to start on the resale portion of it. I'm going to keep it very vague because you can really go in deep with this. But I'll preface this by saying, if you don't watch YouTube videos on how to flip garage sale items, you're missing out because it's the basics, man.
I was watching
Gary Vee has a great one.
I was watching some this weekend. Great. Actually, Gary V's is called Trash Talk.
Yeah, I know. That's some of it's still. Yeah, we wanted to name it just Trash Talk. But
now we're the Trash Talk Business Podcast, keeping it classy.
But I will say, watch them, because the one thing I can tell you is you have the ability in junk removal to not just make some money on the back end from resale, but to create an entirely different business. Now, I don't recommend going straight out the gate and trying to do both. I recommend saying, hey, balance both, but remember what your money maker is versus this is just a plus, a bonus. Resale is very important because, especially if you do your homework and you figure out what people are wanting, what people will pay, you have to have something in mind, and that is it does not sit past a certain time. Because a lot of people start out just like us, very limited space, not a bunch of room to pack shit. So the last thing you want to do is be full your second day of the week, and now you have 4 days. You're like, well, shit, I got no room to put stuff, right? Or you're coming out of pocket, getting storage units just to pack in with stuff that you probably will forget about, or you get too busy to deal with at some point. But
yeah, you're right. You'll never get back. You'll never get back to it in a timely and efficient manner.
No, and dude, like this goes straight back to the military. What's the one thing the military did all the time? They color-coded shit all the time, right? Hey, first squad, you're white tape. Second squad is this tape. Whatever. Do the same thing. Hey, a yellow sticker means it's 1 week out. A red sticker means it has to go now.
Yep.
Green sticker, just got it in. Whatever. But resale is important because it provides you with beer money.
Yeah, it is. No, I agree. I mean, whether it's beer money or little spending cash,
a little extra, in case some shit goes down.
Take the boys out money. Yeah, so I agree. Watch Trash Talk. Gary Vee flipping stuff. There's other guys that flip, but I watch Antiques Roadshow still. I watch Pawn Stars, and it is not so. I don't expect me to have something that comes off. That shows up in the Pawn Stars. Show to show up on my warehouse. But what it does is it keeps me relevant. All right, hey, keep an eye out for these things. It just makes you a steward of your craft.
Yes. To
watch programs that get you thinking about, hey, what does have value here? And I tell my guys to watch that kind of stuff, and they'll come to me with ideas like, oh, hey, do you ever think about this? Do you ever think about that? Right? And it's like I always want to promote those ideas within reason. Right? My rule is 30 days. 30 days and 50%. Those are the rules, right? Always comes down to math.
Well, also your
30
space.
days to get rid of it, and we will split 50-50.
It also comes down to your space.
And I even have 20,000 square feet. I have 20,000 square feet. I still have a finite amount of space.
Yeah.
It's 20,000 square feet. And I can fill it up real fast. I've done it before. I don't want to do it again.
Right. And I think, a lot of us,
so
the thin line is don't get caught up in the resale more than the junk removal, because it'll happen quick. You'll start seeing people show up buying shit and you're like, oh my gosh, like I can keep doing this. And then you have an empty warehouse. You're like, this is awesome. But then you're like, wait a minute, I've missed out on all these opportunities to bring in more shit to my warehouse or storage or garage, whatever.
You're looking past tens of thousands of dollars to make hundreds.
Yeah. And
and
that's the thing.
Resale is what resale is.
It is. Resale is not I'm going to hit it big. Believe me, there's times where I've looked at something, I'm like, holy shit, this is worth money. And did the thing, talked to the people, found out it wasn't worth shit. It just wasn't. But it's there. Resale is there to be another resource of income. And you can do it. You can do it starting out, and you can keep getting better at it. And then you get to a point in a few years where you're set up to now you can actually have someone come in and they can either do auctions, they can do, you can do the consignments, stuff like that. But then it also goes right into recycling, right? So recycling doesn't always have to be just the green way of doing things. It can be more beneficial than just being beneficial to the earth. You can actually add some money in your pocket as well. Not just scrap metal. I mean, we've talked about this before. You can pretty much recycle anything. There's a market for damn near anything. I made money on the back end of mattresses. Andy doesn't spend money on the back end with mattresses. So recycling is one of those things where, Andy, you have way more experience than I do in. But I will say this: I found. Well, you do. I mean, you've been doing it longer. Yeah. You were doing it longer when I joined the game. But at the same time, I got creative and I started asking, like, what all can I recycle? Not just the basics, right? Like, not just horse shit either, I mean.
Yeah. Well, the key is, one thing you said that was interesting is, one of the reasons why we do e-waste events.
Yes.
Is because we found, hey, we found, okay, I learned a lot about e-waste this last year. Even though I've been in this hustle for 15 years, I went out of my way to learn something based on what the market demanded. And now we host free e-waste events for the community because it's a way to give back. It's a way to be stewards, right? And now I'm not saying, okay, I don't need to get paid on the front end.
Yeah.
Now I wouldn't do this unless I already had a profitable business.
Yeah.
And I already had my downstream figured out with what I have.
Right.
It's actually
you had like
our game and got our guys
downstream.
more conscious.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Because I did it actually the first 2-3 e-waste events I did this year. The guys I was going to use, it just didn't work out. And because the market's moving, it's not a knock on the guys, but the market in March of this year was really, really, really strong. And now in August, it's not nearly as strong as it was in March. And that's fucking macroeconomic factors. We can get into that, and everyone, go watch fucking Fox News or CNN or somebody else if you want to talk about fucking inflation, right? I'm a big fan of Sky News Australia and Sky News.
Sky News, man.
It's just called Sky News. It's out of England. I love it because you could tell they're more right leaning, but they're not fucking Tucker Carlson right leaning.
No, they're also very
whatever.
They're like, we're gonna deal with the repercussions after we let everybody know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
And they'll add their little flair too.
The thing is with recycling is, again, it's beyond beer money. It's in good practice. It can drive your bottom line, but again, it cannot take up resources. You can't have it where it is taking up too much space or too much time. It has to be a quick turn operation, and your team has to be devoted to it.
Yeah.
With everything we talked about today, is you got to try it. You got to figure it out as the business owner, and then you got to get your team committed to doing it. Because if only half your team's doing it, you're going to spend just as much energy and half the profitability, if not less. Right? Half the revenue, probably a quarter of the profitability.
Yeah.
If only some people are doing it. And if you, the business owner, don't know it, you're really screwed, because your guys are not going to go out of their way to learn more about how to make you money than you already know. They might take an interest in some things sometimes, but you can't expect them to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go make you, the owner, a bunch of money. And I made that mistake. I'm like, I hired guys to scrap, and they scrapped at whatever rate they scrap per hour. They weren't intrinsically motivated to make more money.
No.
Right. Until I made it about our entire team mission, our organizational objectives.
Well, and also I've heard, I don't want to teach them too much because what if they steal from me? I'm like, well, here's the deal. If someone wants to steal a piece of copper from me and lose their job over it, that's their prerogative. You're gonna deal with that bullshit anywhere. I think the biggest thing is You have to incentivize that position. So like if you get to the point where you have to have someone else doing the recycling for you, you have to say, hey, look, man, whatever we net, I'll give you a cut of it, plus your hourly pay, whatever. Because now they're like, you know what, I'm gonna do this right because like I'll make sure this is a all number 2 copper and there's no bullshit thrown into it. But also the recycling portion of, you remember a few years ago, I actually got really big into cardboard. I had a baler.
Yep.
I mean, I was cranking bales out. And then you know what happened?
You had a mountain. You had a mountain of cardboard in the warehouse.
Here's what happened. The market crashed. The cardboard market crashed. And I had all this fucking cardboard. And I was just like, well, shit. We baled it like we're supposed to. We knew the prices. We knew the weights. We had transportation. Even the paper company was like, hey, we don't charge to pick up more than 10 bales. Oh, sweet. So we're going to have like 15. And all of them average around 800 pounds a bale. Cool. And then the market crashed. And then the paper company's like, look, we'll take it, but we're going to have to charge you for all of it. And I'm like, fuck. Like, that sucks, man.
What about the baler?
It was such,
It
was such a volatile market that we couldn't guarantee the volume enough to make even having the baler a necessity. And it was cheap.
Justified.
We were paying $150 a month to lease a baler. That's nothing. But we're like,
but it's something when you got no commodity to sell it with.
Yeah, I mean, for a good 2 weeks, because we were like, all right, we gotta get rid of the baler, and I was like, dude, it's only $150 a month. Doesn't matter. We're not making that. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me research what else I could fucking bale before we get rid of this thing. Dude, I was researching everything. I could bale metal. I could bale tires. But then I was like, I can't bale enough, so we gotta get rid of the baler. But you know what? I tried it. I did the thing, right? Did the fucking thing.
You used to bale clothes, didn't you?
Yeah.
You used to bale
clothes? That's another thing. Clothing. Yeah. I mean, I baled clothes because we were going to ship it to China and Africa. But then the yields were so small that it wasn't worth it, because you have to think how many times it's being touched before it gets to the destination. So they were offering me like 2-3 cents a pound, where I'm like, the most profitable way is to get with someone who's small time, who will pay you, you know, like I would have these 300-gallon Gaylords and I'd stuff them and they'd be about 500-600 pounds, or about 400 or 500 pounds, but I was charging $350 per Gaylord. And then they would come pick them up and bring me back an empty Gaylord.
They were buying them from you for $350 a Gaylord?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's insane.
Well, because then you
still don't get that.
Well, and then this is just like any recycling, right? Then you get into more in depth of what is wanted most. So then I would have them say, hey, look, do you have men's clothing? I just want men's clothing. Okay, because their customers, maybe they're needing men's clothing. I had a guy come up and I'm not even kidding you, Andy. I think I told you about this. All he wanted was panties. That's it. He just wanted underwear, female underwear. And you know what I told him? I was like, I'll get you some female underwear. We're going to separate that shit because you're going to pay me top dollar. Deal. And he did. It was one time. You know what? It was awesome. No shame in my game, sir. Hey, I'm not the one buying them, right? I'm the one.
Women's panties and horse shit. Yeah. Women's panties and horse shit. The things you can recycle in the junk removal world with Casey Bubba Lawrence.
I mean, do you judge the drug dealer or the drug user?
I don't know if it's a full book.
You know?
All right. Hey, man. No one's ever come to my warehouse looking to buy fucking women's panties. I don't know what to say. Not even gonna honor that gentleman.
There's a market
in this case. Hey.
Anyways, recycling. You know, you can get
recycling.
Recycling
women's
can
panties
get to the size of your business. It really can get huge if you do it right and you start small. You learn it. You learn from a small stage too. Like I would call you all the time asking you, "Hey man, is it worth doing this?" And you say it would be worth it if you're bored on a Sunday afternoon and you want to drink beer while stripping that wire. Then yeah, that's worth it. But otherwise, it's probably worth just throwing it all together and taking your 20% cut or whatever.
Yeah, I will always go back to electric motors.
Yeah,
the guys that want to take the time to break apart an electric motor
don't do
to
golly
that copper. God bless.
Man,
I've done it. I'm not worth a lot, but I'm worth more than that.
Yeah, we would.
There you go.
I liked electrical motors because I mean, I had those big ass totes, those big Gaylords, and I was
Oh
just
yeah.
like, I could almost estimate each Gaylord when they're full to the pound
Yep.
because I kind of
Yeah.
understood the motors we were getting. Most of them were ceiling fan motors.
Yep.
Knock the glass off, take the blades off, throw them in there.
Yeah.
So I kind of estimate, like I remember it'd be full. I'm like, all right, I can kind of gauge what we're going to get for this. At the same time, there's a lot of people will take lead acid batteries apart, man. Believe it or not.
Nope.
And I'm
Nope.
like,
I put them in a wood gate. I put them in a wood Gaylord. The place that takes my batteries is 4 blocks away from me.
Yeah.
I think they're like, I can't remember where they were at last time. Like 15 cents a pound or 17 cents a pound.
That's what we got for motors.
I get about 10. Yeah. Yeah. I get about 10, 12 pounds or 10, 12 bucks a battery.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Yeah. Motors are, so our Gaylord we use for motors is steel because it's so fucking heavy. To that point, it's right around 1,800 pounds. It's just shy of a ton at 12 up to 20 cents a pound. When sheet iron was at 300 a ton, so 15 cents a pound, we were getting 25, 27 cent a ton. Or sorry, 25, 27 cent a pound on motors. And that Gaylord's always fucking heavy. It's a heavy fucking Gaylord.
Well, and that's,
I mean, every motor. So
no, go ahead.
The motors we typically get are like your grinding wheel motors, whatever size that is. I don't know. They weigh about 55, 60 pounds, yay big. You fucking just put them in there, stack them up, 200 deep, and you get paid. And I never look at them again. I throw them in there. They disappear one day, and a check comes in the mail.
So that's the key right there for recycling. No matter what you're recycling, the less you touch it, the more you make off the bat. If you touch that thing more than 3 times, why are you
sort it, scrap?
And
faucets and lamps and copper pipe are about the only things that we still take apart because they're worth it.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not much else we take apart anymore.
You don't need
I used to take apart every fucking lock set. Yeah, I used to take apart every fucking lock set that came in.
Really?
But that was 15 years ago. Oh yeah. That's not since we started Junk World. That was when I was a fucking kid. That's how I got started taking apart lock sets.
So with recycling, like we talked about with demolition, make sure you learn as much as you can before you just go all out. But when I got interested in e-waste, I wanted to know what I was recycling. I want to know why there was such a market for e-waste. And I watched some videos and like, hey man, it's all about the timing. How long does it take you to take apart a full CPU? And I remember the first time I did it, took me like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I was like fucking pissed. I had bloody knuckles. I was like, what the hell? And it kept getting, better and better.
Yeah.
Then I started watching more videos on what's more important. So I got down to like a minute and a half. I could take apart an entire CPU, motherboard, everything, and have it all separated. And all I needed was a drill and a hammer. Like that was it. The hammer was for if the drill didn't work, by the way. So, but
yeah, exactly. All you need is a drill. If everything goes right, all you need is a drill and like 3 bits. You need a number 1, a number 2, Phillips number 1, Phillips number 2. And then and then maybe a random star bit or something else,
Yeah, but I got to the point where I separated out to 3 different categories of motherboards and all the shrouds, you name it. And I was like, I had this stock piled up. That's why I had these categories. But on an ongoing basis, it doesn't make sense for me to have someone do this when we're only getting maybe 1 or 2 in every other day. So then I looked at the cost versus the profit of having someone come pick up everything as is, and I would sell those tower units for $10 each. Done. And I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. There you go.
Yeah, even if you're getting 2, correct. Even if you're getting 2 a day, that's $100 a week. That's $5,000 a year for putting them on a pallet.
That's it.
$5,000 a year for putting computers on a pallet. Done.
Yeah.
That's the math you got to put at it.
You start losing money when you start putting more time into something. Like I suggest put all your time 100%. Up front, learning what you're doing, the process of it, and why. But after that, you need to cut.
Find the line and then back it out. Yeah. Correct. Put some meat in the bone, but recognize when there's fat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we talked about a lot today. We got 5 random topics covered. That did go by quick. That's what we do here. We sit, we talk, we jam. This has been another episode. I will say we got our metrics out recently. We have listeners in like 11 different countries right now. So we haven't done this yet. It's been this is episode 18. So we've been doing it
16.
4 months now. 18 we're up to.
Okay.
Taylor told me.
Okay.
So quick shout out to everyone that's supported us so far. This was something Casey and I have been talking about for years. We had to get through some shit. I had to get through a non-compete. And here we are. We appreciate the listenership. We would love to hear from you guys too. As we go on this junk removal journey, what do you guys want to talk about? If you want to be featured on the program, it's real easy. Just shoot us a message on LinkedIn or Facebook. Hell, you can find my email, aweins@greenupsolutions.org, or my phone number. Hit me up. We love having guests on because we can sit here bullshit for an hour every week. That's not an issue. But we love hearing what's going on in the world. We want to become stewards of our craft. We want to become more knowledgeable in different regions of the country. So wherever you are in the country, even if you're in our own backyard, we want to hear from you. So first and foremost, thank you. And whatever you want to do, this podcast, we do it for ourselves because we find it interesting, but we also do it for our listeners to learn something. So if there's something you want us to cover or you want to be a guest, hit us up, and we'll see you next week. I'm Eddie Weins. That's Casey Bubba Lawrence. This has been another episode of the Trash Talk Business Podcast.